Welcome to Games That We Missed Out On. This month's video is brought to you by the Mega Duck Handheld. It's a real handheld, folks, look it up. And the Power Glove, one of the coolest yet useless peripherals in gaming history. The year was 1992. The 16-bit revolution was well into its final years and technology in gaming was ramping up big time. Yet there were still some developers here and there still creating games for the already out-the-door NES platform. While some took a real lazy approach to this, Ubisoft, sorry. Others used their talent with the aging console to push the NES capabilities to make games that we can look back now and be surprised that they even were possible on an 8-bit system. Recca is one of those games. First, a little background on this SHmup title. It was developed by KID and published by Naxat. The full title of the game is Summer Carnival 92 Recca. The reason for it being titled like that is that Hudson Soft had created a gaming summer event back in 1985 called the Hudson All Japan Caravan Festival. It was a summer event where Hudson Soft would travel around Japan, making stops at certain locations and holding events to promote their shooter-based games. This included time trials where you collected the best score possible within a specific amount of time, and score attack mode where you have to collect the best score with the amount of lives given to you. These modes will be used in these small tournaments, and later on, they will be implemented into the actual games so players could practice their skills.
60カ所を回り、日本中を大きく沸かせ、9万人を動員した。
Star Force would be the first game to be used in this promotional event in 1985, and it ran all the way through 2000, when it unfortunately came to an end due to financial issues within the company of Hudson Soft. However, in 2006, the tournament was brought back one more time before dissolving completely. I'm going to be covering this event in much more detail in a future video. Now, Naxat wanted to piggyback on this concept, and in 1991 they showcased Seirei Senshi Spriggan on the PC Engine CD as part of a similar summer event, which they called Summer Carnival 91. In 1992, they promoted Recca and Alcedik, one on the aging NES and the other on the more advanced PC Engine CD. 1993 would actually be the last year Naxat held this event, with the game Nexer, or is it NexZR, Special being promoted that year. Programmer Shinobu Yagawa wanted to push the limits of the aging Famicom by pushing as much sprites as possible and keep the action fast-paced with minimal slowdown. In order to accomplish this, the game utilized a trick that Contra had used years before. It would use less sprites for explosions versus other sprites on screen. This allowed the game to keep that action fluid, but at the expense of having some flickering on the screen. The enemy waves are fast and relentless as they hurl at you from all directions. Destroy enough of them in conjunction and you are awarded a 1-up for your success. In order to do this though, you will need some good weapons. Your ship comes with a standard laser and a small feature that adds a bit of strategy to all the mayhem. If you stop shooting, your ship will automatically start to charge this beam right here. Fire again and it unleashes a huge bomb-like projectile that obliterates any enemy nearby. But as it charges, you can also use its small aura to shield you from enemy fire. Alternating between both will require some skill, and it takes a little bit of time to master this, and even then, it is still tricky to pull off successfully. There are 5 power-ups to choose from: regular laser, a fast shot, a spread shot, front and back shot, and a homing shot. You also have a secondary weapon that has 5 different forms that determine how they are positioned onto your ship. It is activated when you collect the red power-ups versus the blue ones for the main weapon. Some will fire forward, some will backwards, others will circle you and fire in all directions. So choose which will complement the level and how enemies burst onto the screen on that specific stage. Along with them, your ship also has a speed meter. The setting of my ship's speed makes or breaks the gameplay for me. And oh man, this game is freaking tough. God damn it. Oh, you gotta be kidding me. Oh, come on, can you give me a chance to breathe? The game has a total of 7 stages, yet you can't play them all unless you finish the first wave of the game, which is 4 stages, with the last one being a big boss rush sequence. It's like the game is, testing you to see if you are worth being able to play, the rest of it. Now that right there, that is some hardcore shit. Speaking of bosses, they are not easy at first, but just like with every game out there, once you get the pattern down, they get easier, but they're still not pushovers. The music was created by Nobuyuki Shiota. It is a nice selection of techno beats that go great with the action on screen, and it never feels out of place. Some tunes go as long as 4 minutes, which is considered a very long time for an NES tune. But back then, the NES cards had limited spacing, and to have such an amazing array of long tunes, such as these right here, is very impressive. Some of the tunes even sound like they belong in the Streets of Rage game. A lot of people talk about games like Castlevania, Ghosts and Goblins and such being very difficult games on the NES. Had this game come out here in the United States, we would be talking about Recca within that same group. The difficulty on this game is legendary. You pick up this game like I did and expect to get far, you're gonna be sorely disappointed. The game doesn't start you off easy. It doesn't let you get a feel for it. It just comes at you full speed. The wave of enemies here are non-stop. If the fast bullets won't get you and you somehow manage to weave your way through the onslaught, the wave of enemies crashing into you will. Even mastering the charge beam won't save you all the time. There is also no password feature here, but there are a few secret modes to access, such as the Sankey attack mode, as well as a sound test, a select screen stage option, and an infinite life mode, which I admit to using while making this video. Otherwise, it would just be me bawling like a child as I try and beat stage 1. Yeah, it's tough. However, I cannot blame the controls. They are responsive, so dying was something that was entirely on me, and could not blame the game for, say, a delay response from the controls. Sometimes the screen just gets way too filled with enemies, and bullets, and explosions, and it's really hard to distinguish between all of them with all the flickering and sometimes even the background movement. Growing up and playing games like Xanac and Gradius, I feel like Recca would have been fun to play back then, even though it definitely would have tested not only my skills, but my patience. Some stages are short, and the boss battles are somewhat short if you learn the pattern and what method to go with when facing them. But the fast pacing of the game might not be for everybody out there. Publications back then were critical of the game's difficulty and the learning curve, and wondered if all the nice graphics and fast-paced action were worth the hassle in the end. I enjoyed the game for the difficulty at first when I picked it up, but I quickly grew tired of it being thrown back all the way to the beginning of the game for me to do it all over again as I captured footage for this video. This game is not easy at all. The weapons do power up, but it takes a very long time to do that, and the best option is still to collect multiple power-ups of the same letter, versus just collecting the blue orb icons. I also found the secondary weapon option a bit, underwhelming. Although there were a few times where I found the right combination with both weapons to maximize my offense, even if it was for a short time. The music though I found to be outstanding and worthy of being in a 16-bit title. Now I'm curious to go and try the other titles that they developed over on the PC Engine CD side. The time attack and score attack modes are nice added bonuses that I would have enjoyed back then. I can understand why it wasn't brought to the States, but a 16-bit sequel or remake on the Super NES would have been nice, but I doubt even it would have sold well since shooters were never big here in the States as they are in Japan. And North American gamers back then had already kind of shifted their attention to the 16-bit and CD era of gaming, most notably one-on-one fighting games and first-person shooters. What are some shmups that you feel we missed out on that would have been a huge hit here? Which do you feel fell short of what they should have brought to the table? Share with us all and be back here as I go over the craziness that was the early 1990s in gaming. Trust me, you don't want to miss that one. Until then, keep watching and keep gaming. Oh, I forgot. First, a word from our sponsor before I finish the video.
I love the Power Glove. It's so bad.